out of all the Universal monsters, Werewolf, Frankenstein, Dracula, Mummy, Invisible Man. I know there's other ones, but you know those main 5. Which one would you rather be? Still me? I'm a werewolf type of person. Chase Lehocky here at the Blue Futon reviewing Werewolves. So what's about? Pretty simple premise. About a year ago, a super duper ridiculous moon came out and 1 billion plus people turn into werewolves. And now it apparently happens like once a year. And now we're trying to figure out what we're going to do in this Purge X timeline, because it's one night when the moon comes out, we're going to hide your kids, hide your wives, and make sure the werewolves doesn't attack you. So did I like this film? No, unfortunately, even though I'm a freaking huge werewolf person, I was kind of disappointed. Yes, I enjoyed the practical effects. I enjoyed some of the gore. I enjoyed some of the transitions. However, some of the editing was wonky. Some of the character decisions were wonky. The detransitioning at the very end was wonky. How it ended was wonky. And just when I think about, like, when I was driving home and, you know, right when I did my early reaction, I was like, yeah, the world would have been a better place if there's one thing we would have done, and I think it would have been better. Anyway, thinking about the positives, I do think some of the acting is fine, like Frank Grillo. Every time he's in a movie, I kind of enjoy what he does because he knows what he's doing, and he's probably the most experienced person in this film. Werewolves. That's the main thing you're here for, right? You're going to get a lot of werewolves, and I enjoy that, and a lot of practical people in the werewolf suits. And I'm like, yep, I dig it. I really dig what we're doing, because sometimes I get tired of the CGI. It's like, is it that hard to put people in suits and to make it look believable? And this movie does it. Fantastic makeup, costumes, and things like that. So I can't really complain. When some of the gore is there, and when you could see it, I really dig it. But other than that, it's just too all over the place for me. And here is where we're going to just talk about some of the character decisions, what characters are in this film, and what can we just do to make this situation better. But let's rewind. Very end, right? How it ends. It ends with like a handshake credits. I'm like, not good. The detransition. While we do show some transitioning in the beginning of how people get to that stage and how it looks painful, and people are like, some of them like it, some of them don't like it, some of them don't know what they're going to do. I like that. You're like, okay, we're actually seeing it. When we detransition, it's more of, and you're back to being a human. You're just like, but you had all the pain going into it. Is there not pain coming out of it? And I think showing that with a lot of people in the world would have been better, because like I said, there's like, 8.2 billion people in the world, and they said billions turned to werewolves. So it makes you wonder why, and maybe because they were already hidden, like they worked night shifts, and they didn't turn in because they never saw the moon. Like, why didn't they turn? Maybe I missed it, but I don't think I did. It's basically the moon automatically does it for you. Like, it's an automatic thing. And so that's where the glaring flaw in the movie is. All right. So you have like dog soldiers in this movie. You have people hiding people in like wet markets so they don't transition to werewolves. Which, when you're in that wet market, like those characters, just, it's like, why'd you even put this in the film? Because it looked like it might go a different arc of what this market was. We're ignoring it. Okay, whatever. What else we're ignoring is a lot of other characters in this film, especially like Miss Chang and Mr. Chang. You show that maybe they're a couple, which they are, kind of disappears. Like, because they meet while as a werewolf and they don't, you're just like, oh, that story's gone. The main CEO, something happens to him. It could have gone somewhere too. Gone. Even the Miss Chang character, it could go somewhere, and she's gone. And then something's happened at the end too, where you're just like, okay, because this is interesting as well, because the werewolves in this movie are kind of smarter. Like, they kind of know, like, okay, I touched this before, I shouldn't touch it again, or I need to get the water in my eyes because I got pepper spray. Okay, I could believe that kind of stuff through and throughout. Okay, my biggest flaw, right? Even though, whatever. Like, these dog soldiers is like, whatever. Okay. Listen up, people. So this Purge-esque timeline, and people are like, boarding up their houses. They're making sure shit doesn't go wrong. Like I said in my first out of the reaction, what if? Just hear me out. Everyone knows when the blood moon, the uber super moon is coming, right? You lock your doors. Oh, and also they don't explain why some kids do not transition, or if they do, why they turn more into like the Grinch from, Jim Carrey. Anyway, sidestep. Why don't everyone lock their doors, put their cars in a garage, carport, whatever, and the world just transfers? Like, okay, I know it's like Australia, you have land. America, we have land. Like New Mexico, Arizona, yeah, LA. I mean, there's still land in California, but I mean, LA, you're kind of fucked, okay? You're fucked. New York fucked, so get out of the sea. So I'm going to say there. Southern Illinois, you have Kansas, you have Nebraska, you have Iowa, you have the Dakotas, you have Montana, Indiana. You make a road trip to this part of the country where you can't do a lot of damage, and everyone turns to a werewolf. And it's like an EDC concert. I mean, yes, there'll probably be a lot of like sex, like a lot of sex out there, like werewolf sex is like, just hope it's not mating season, because it would just be shenanigans through and throughout. But I feel like if everyone transitioned, because it feels like werewolves in this time don't really fight each other. They're just going after humans. So, I mean, yes, there would be some werewolf casualties of, like, werewolves fighting other werewolves, so who's the alpha? But come on, it's alpha for one freaking night. Like, other than that, you're not going to realize who that person was. You're going to be like, I don't remember who the alpha was. Next, 364 days later, we're going to do this shit again. And I feel like there's a lot more collateral damage would be done. A lot less, government funds. FEMA, even though FEMA is a worthless piece of shit company or, organization with what they're doing with everything, giving billions to illegals, but $750 to Americans. Sure, why not? But I just feel like doing that, it would just make the movie just more interesting, in my opinion, where it's like, okay, we have a group, we know we're going to transition, and we're just going to do it. We're just going to fucking do it, and we're going to see what happens, instead of like really trying to do all these scientist things to know, like, yo. So yeah, I feel like that maybe that'd just be badass too at the same time, where I think that'd be badass where, some of us do turn to werewolves, okay? What if I'm just fucking weird, right? I like that type of fantasy stuff sometimes. So overall, werewolves, I was really disappointed with this film. I wanted to go on loving it, or at least liking it, but I came out going, that's some good creature design, that's some good gore, but, the brother's wife, not good choices. Figure out how much ammo you have, because 12 shells ain't enough. The neighbor, Cody, annoying. Just other decisions and editing choices, wasn't a fan of it. So werewolves, a little disappointed overall. So werewolves will receive a 2 out of 5 with Futons, which goes at 40%. So let's see the critics and user scores gave this one. Critics, 50%. Audience score of 44% with over 50. No critic consensus. So 50, 44, 40. Chase Hawk here, the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of things, Blue Futontopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Watch us take tomorrow, week from now, month, or a year from now, every single freaking one of you. And just thank you for everyone. But what would you rather be? Invisible Man, Werewolf, Dracula, Frankenstein. Oh, you could be thinking of the Swamp Thing as well. But that's more DC. But no, Swamp Thing could be the 6th one. But I already forgot the other one. Was it Frankenstein, Dracula, Werewolf, Invisible Man, Mummy? The Mummy.